Good morning, everybody. I will moderate the webinar this morning. My name is Francesco Senatore, and since the 1st of July, I'm the new Business Development Director of Bio4Dreams that is organizing this webinar. Actually, this collaboration starts with the embassy already a few years ago. So finally we could put this in place and try to make available our competence and services to the companies in Lithuania. So before I start the session today, I will ask the ambassador to say a few words of introduction.
So thank you very much, Francesco. Dear speakers, experts from Bio4Dreams, from other companies, and dear participants, good morning. And thank you for joining us for today's online workshop on the topic of life sciences. This event is organized by the Lithuanian Embassy in Italy in close collaboration with the Lithuanian Biotech Association, Lithuanian Bio, and our esteemed partner in Italy, the Life Sciences Incubator Bio4Dreams. This workshop is a part of a series of events hosted by our embassy, both online or in person, in partnership with various organizations. And these initiatives are designed namely to assist Lithuanian businesses in gaining a deeper understanding of the Italian market. And I would like to extend my thanks to Bio4Dreams and Lithuania Bio for their input and cooperation in organizing this sector-focused event tailored for those interested in the life sciences market, Italian life sciences market. And of course, my special thank goes to Francesco Senatore for his expertise, guidance, and ongoing support in helping us navigate the complexities of the Italian life sciences sector. And his contribution to this event and to other embassies-led projects really has been important in strengthening Lithuanian-Italian ties in this vital industry. Life sciences is a key priority sector in Lithuania, and we believe this field offers significant opportunities and potential for fostering partnerships between Lithuanian and Italian business and academia. Our embassy's economic team, Laura and Jurgita, both online this morning to the seminar. They are really working actively to connect stakeholders in this sector from both countries, and today's seminar reflects that purpose and that mission. And on this occasion, I am pleased to announce that Lithuania will host its biannual international conference, Life Sciences Baltics 2025, this September. As you may know, this event gathers stakeholders from across the globe, and especially from the Nordic Baltic region, and including government representatives, business, researchers, academics, and startups. And we invite Bio4Dreams, their partners, and other Italian companies and startups to participate in this prestigious event and explore opportunities for valuable partnerships and strategic cooperation. So today, I'm confident that this seminar will deliver insightful and practical knowledge about the Italian life sciences market, one of Europe's most dynamic, probably. And moreover, I believe it will serve as solid foundation for further collaboration between our two countries in this exciting and rapidly evolving sector. So thank you once again for your participation, and I wish you an engaging and productive workshop. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And first of all, okay, I will share my screen. So a few words of technical information before starting. First of all, regarding questions. You have the workshop, the webinar works as a normal conference call, so anybody can raise his hand or write on the chat. And so specifically, you have 3 ways to ask questions. The first is live after each single session. So we decided to go through each presentation without interruption, and then we will stop at the end collecting live questions. The second way to ask questions is writing on the chat. The third way is writing an email that we will take care of answer afterwards. So you can send an email to either to one of us or to the Lithuanian embassy contact that you have, and then we will make sure to get back to you with a precise answer to your question. Other 2 informations: the presentation will be shared. The webinar is recorded, so it will be available even afterwards. And the last point, which is probably the most important one, is that we are planning to have follow-up meetings with companies or entities that would like to have more information and go deeper in one of the topics covered in this session. So please feel free to contact us afterwards for more information that you may need. The idea. So let me go through the program of today. Okay. So this is the program of today, the roadmap to Italian life science market. So the idea is to cover, of course, according to the time that we have assigned to each session and the overall timing for a conference call that cannot take too long. I will start with a general picture of the Italian life science market. Then we will go through the regulatory environment. We will go a little bit further in the market entry strategy from a regulatory point of view. We will have hints and suggestion on any possible activity towards business development and partnership, which is a very key point to enter any market, but specifically in this case for the Italian market. And the last session will be about funding and incentives, which is even more important for each of us, because it's most of the cases the starting point for any market entry in Italy. Let me briefly introduce our speakers today. Okay, first of all, as I said, I just joined Bio4Dreams as business development director in July, but I have something like 30 years of experience in the life science sector, both in multinational companies, small biotechs, and business incubators. So I've seen many things from different angles in the Italian market. So I will cover the first topic. Then I have the pleasure to introduce Maurizio Mariani, President and CEO of Bridge4Pharma. He will tell you about Bridge4Pharma quickly before his session. Maurizio is an MD, PhD, experienced R&D leader with expertise in innovation, translational medicine, and clinical development. The other session will be covered by Paola Cinquanta, Operations Manager, Regulatory Affairs Senior Associate Partner at Pharma Quality Europe Group, which is a very important group in Italy. Paula leads the global regulatory operations, specializing in regulatory strategy and drug development. The other session will be covered by Fabio Bianco, our Vice President, Scientific and Corporate Development at Bio4Dreams. Very long experience in biotech, focused on innovation, startup creation, and advancing biotech solutions. Last but not least, Costanza Conti is the head of our grant office at Bio4Dreams. She also has a long experience in grants, funding, application, clinical project, collaborations, and is really an expert with hands-on in the search for funding of startups and also mature companies. So at this point, I think I can start. As I said, we will collect questions at the end of the session, and you can write on the chat whatever question will rise. Okay, so I will go through this a few slides to introduce the overall webinar, just trying to make a picture of the Italian life science market. So Italy is considered to be a competitive hub in Europe and globally for investment in pharmaceutical, medical devices, and biotechnology. These are the figures of the three main sectors. So pharma, biotech, and medical devices. I can already tell you that there is another sector that is missing in this picture because it's not yet counted as a proper sector, which is digital health and all the digital technologies applied to health, which overlaps mostly with medical devices, as well as the other point I should make before telling you the numbers is that pharma and biotech are also in many cases overlapping, because as you know, this has to do with the definition of pharma and biotech. So most of the pharma products at the moment are based on biotech technologies. Only few technologies on the market are from the beginning a biotech technology. So, but it's a matter of definition. In general speaking, these numbers can give you the right picture. So we start with pharma, which is made by a relatively small number of companies, with the most important production value that goes up to almost 50 billion turnover, I mean, production value in Italy, and almost 70,000 employees in the sector. So it's basically the most important one in Italy. Then we have biotech with a bigger number of companies, smaller companies actually, with respect to pharma. In pharma, we have some big players that we don't have in the biotech sector. The production value is 11.4 billion. The number of employees is almost 14,000 people. The third one is medical devices, which, as you know, covers a pretty large range of technologies, and is made in Italy by a very big number of companies, small, medium enterprises, and micro companies, with almost 120,000 employees and a production value of 11.6 billion. As I said, in the picture, the digital health is missing, but I can, collecting data from here and there, we can consider another 4 4 to 5 billion production value in the so-called digital health area. We will. I will try to go a little bit deeper in each of the sectors. Italy is actually in the pharma is the #1 country in terms of production. You see here some more figures, 200 companies, as I said, almost 7,000 people working in R&D, and most of them are women. We have a big numbers in export as well. As you can see, we have many multinational, foreign multinational companies in Italy doing export from Italy. This is why we have so big numbers in this area. The share between Italian-owned companies and foreign-owned companies is what you see here. So 60% of them are actually owned by foreign companies, and 40% is owned by Italian companies. Regarding the medical device sector, as I said, is made by a much bigger number of companies, smaller, but more in number. You see here that most of this market is a public market. So the 11.6 billion are for almost 80% made by the public healthcare. We are seeing more and more introduction of new technology and innovative technology in the hospitals. As you probably know, Italy is very strong in the public health system, and depending on the regions, you have more or less advanced regions that for the introduction of new technology in Italy. But basically, it's very interesting sector. Let's move to the biotech one. As I said, you have many overlaps with the so-called pharma sector. Almost 800 companies. The red biotech among that, which is, as you know, the biotech devoted to the health sector, is 48% of the total. Manufacturing is 10.2 billion value, and this is a picture of, to give you a much precise idea, these are the specialty sectors. Oncology, neurological disorders, rare diseases, and vaccines are the most represented in this sector. Then, to complete the picture, I wanted to give you an idea on what is going on in terms of innovation and innovative startups. As you probably know, since 10 years now, we have in Italy a policy to support the innovation in this sector, which is the Startup Act. This is still ongoing, has been renewed, and so it gives a lot of opportunities in our sector. First of all, what we have seen before, the production value of the life science overall, so including pharma, biotech, medical devices, digital health, contribute to 10.6% to the national GDP, which means that is one of the most important economic sectors for Italy, and for this reason, the government is supporting this area very much. The number in the middle is to give you an idea on the number of innovative companies in the last 3 years, from 21 to 23. And still active. So we have around 800 innovative companies, and this is how they are divided by sector. So digital health, 42%, medtech, 28%, healthcare in general is 21%, biotech and pharma, a smaller part. There is a mismatch between research and VC funding. I mean, this is an old story for Italy, but it's also true for most of the Eastern European countries. So in this sense, we are not so different from Eastern European countries because we don't have such a lively VC funding environment in Italy. But things are moving, and so basically, I have a few numbers that I don't want I couldn't share now because this could take too much time. But basically, we finally in 2023 we reached actually in 2021 we finally reached the VC investments in innovative startups over 1 billion. Just to give you an idea, we are a lot behind the top 5 European countries, so Germany, Spain, UK, France. They are 6 or 8 times more than Italy, which means that we lag a little bit behind, but which means also that there is a big opportunity. And for this reason, most of a lot of efforts is made by the government to support this sector in order to reach the level of the other countries in Europe. To give you an idea on where this innovation is happening, this gives you more or less a geographical distribution of companies. Of course, Lombardy, but also Piedmont, Lazio, Campania, Emilia-Romagna, I mean, Tuscany. I mean, it's a pretty interesting picture just to give you an idea on the specific difference in the different regions. The other point we can make, which is interesting, we all know how artificial intelligence is on the wave at the moment, and basically these figures confirm this trend. But for instance, so I have taken from a lot of information these two because I think they give you an idea. So of course, artificial intelligence is rising and is still and will be the most interesting sector to invest so far. I mean, at least in this historical period. It's interesting to see how telemedicine actually is a little bit going down because it's basically a mature market. So it's probably the first that started. So this is the typical digital health solution. So which is still a problem for national healthcare, for healthcare in general, but it's going to be considered as a mature market already. I think it's probably the last slide for my part. So overall, the opportunity that Italy can offer is basically to have high-quality partnership, and this could be used, and Italy could be used to enter the Italian market first, and maybe from Italy enter also the European market, which is of course more interesting in terms of numbers. Generally speaking, there are, as I said, the big investment at the moment coming from the PNRR, still boosting the R&D and production of innovative solution in healthcare. In general, Italy is a historical place for pharma production. We have more than 180 pharma production sites in Italy. We offer a very different specialization. So you can find here fertile ground for drugs, vaccines, biotech, advanced therapy, plasma derivatives. And if we want to give a more precise indication in terms of regions, we can talk about Lombardy, Piedmont, Friuli, Venezia Giulia, Emilia-Romagna, Tuscany, and Lazio, where you have these life science clusters that are reference points to help you with your business. The other three main points are the presence of very active associations, so the ASSO Biotech, which is basically the same as Lithuania Bio, Innovap, Confindustria, Italian Tech Alliance, Mind. So there is a number of associations spread all over the territory that can be of help. The supporting institution, as I said, from the government, there is a big investment ongoing since a few years. All in all, it's more than 4 billion that's been put in this support, mainly through CDP, Cassa Depositi e Prestiti. They have a venture capital activity with 9 funds, specific funds dedicated to innovation. You have the Italian Trade Agency, Invitalia, Enetec, and Biomedical, all subjects that are ready to help for any foreign companies that would like to enter the Italian market. And we are connected to each of them, as you can imagine. So whatever will be needed from your project, we can also, of course, put together all these stakeholders to help with your project. And last point is about science and technology parks, incubator accelerators that are present mostly in the regions that I said before, that are there to help you out with networking, consultancy, market analysis, and fundraising support. The last slide, then I will leave the word to the next speaker. So basically, why Italy is a very attractive market for life science companies. So first of all, as I said, the use of the European money to boost R&D is still ongoing and will last a few years more. So it's a great opportunity. The venture capital investment is rising and will, as I said before, will most probably reach the level of the top 5 EU countries. As I've already said, in terms of networking and to have access to a real partnership in the specific region, you have the presence of these very well-organized clusters. We have robust infrastructure. So, as I said, historically, Italy has been, and it is still a place for pharma production, and so and has a very well-organized health system. The other 2 points are the skilled workforce. So this is also seen as a clear advantage also for American companies that come to Italy. So the fact that they can find a very highly educated workforce here, and the support from the Italian government that I have already mentioned. So now I will stop for a few minutes to collect possible questions, and then we can move to the following speaker. Okay, in terms of timing, we are, I think, on time. So basically, I leave the word to Maurizio.
Yeah. Hi, thanks Francesco for the nice introduction. Yes, Maurizio Mariani, I'm CEO of Bridge for Pharma, which is maybe I can also start sharing. So, I'm a CEO of Bridgeco Pharma, which is a company that offers, let's say, consulting services for research and development in life sciences. I have 40 years of experience in major companies as head of R&D. And so the objective for our company is to support small, medium-sized companies to advance and to bring their product to registration, then to the commercialization. Okay, so today we speak about the Italian regulatory environment, and of course, everybody objective in life sciences to develop new product, innovative product for unmet medical needs, essentially. The objective is to create innovation. And before going to the directly speaking of the regulation, I would like to just share this cartoon to indicate that in the process of innovation, there are at least two major steps. The one is, of course, the idea that is the basic of a potential product, but then this idea, in order to grow, needs to have the correct environment. The environment is a system that should can help in getting to the proof of concept. The proof of concept, which is the main de-risking step for a development for a product program. And in order to reach the de-risking step to proof of concept, you need to have a system that is a system composed by scientists, of course, by investors, by people with experience in R&D that help enriching this critical proof of concept. The proof of concept is then the moment in which the risk is made, but then it's also the foundation of the additional step that leads to registration, which is essentially the development that meets the regulatory requirements. And we are in Europe, and Italy really is within a framework that really is quite similar in different countries. And the objective of this framework is to ensure that the innovation that we bring to the market meets some prerequisite for efficacy, performance, for safety. So essentially, whatever product innovation we put on the market has to have a positive efficacy or performance to safety ratio, and has also to meet the quality requirements for the finished product. So all this is highly regulated, and we will see that the regulations are quite consistent through in Italy and also in Europe. Now, going to the pharmaceutical field, the key regulatory bodies in Italy are essentially the AIFA, which is Italian Medicine Agency, which is received a delegation from the Italian Ministry of Health for all aspects related to the assessment, evaluation, approval of new medicinal products. And AIFA, so this Italian Medicine Agency, is autonomous in all the assessment, and the objective of AIFA, the final objective of AIFA, is to recommend a product for registration, and the last step, this decision, the registration, then taken by the Italian Ministry of Health. In order to perform all this role, AIFA really follows the European legislation and implements normally quality systems that are very in line with both European directive and guidelines. And IFA can use both internal experts and external experts, like the one in the Technical Scientific Committee of the National Institute of Health, to support for the evaluation of the different programs. Now, if we look at the activity that IFA performs, so we maybe look at the dark green boxes, IFA really can perform, starting from the bottom, activity of inspection. IFA is the body dedicated to inspect and approve, for example, production facilities for pharmaceutical product. The approval of production sites and production facilities in Europe is normally delegated to the countries. So even if there is an overall body that is called EMA, European Medical Authority, the authorization for the productions actually is due to the local agencies, drug agencies. IFA also is the one that approves the clinical trials, and again is an activity dedicated to the local countries. And finally, is, as I said, is the company, is the institution that makes the marketing authorization decision on the reimbursement. As I said before, in Italy, we follow the European regulatory framework. And for those that are not familiar with the procedures, in Europe, you have 4 different, let's say, trajectory that you can follow for to obtain registration of a drug. You can follow the centralized procedure, which is a procedure that is imposed for a certain number of products, such as the innovative drugs, cellular treatment, gene-based therapy, but also some orphan drugs and some infectious and oncological diseases. So this centralized procedure usually requires the discussion and evaluation by the European Committee that really, let's say, includes all the different countries, 28 countries in Europe, which are asked to give an opinion for the registration, for approval for the product. This centralized procedure is not the only one. You can also have the procedures that are locally pursued. So those are decentralized procedures in which a product that has never been registered in Europe can be registered at for example, 2 countries. The decentralized procedure can be performed by 2 countries in common. One acts as a rapporteur, the other company acts as a co-rapporteur, and the registration dossier, what we call common technical document, is evaluated at the country level. The third procedure is a national procedure. Now, in this case, the drug that has never been approved not approved in other countries is registered locally. The assessment is made, in this case, in Italy by IFA, and is IFA that assesses the whole efficacy, safety, and quality aspect of the product, and then gets the product registration. The fourth procedure is the one that is a mutual recognition procedure, in which a product that has been registered nationally can be also registered by a second or third countries through a procedure that is accelerated procedure that sees the two countries discuss, evaluate the dossier conjunctly, and so this brings to potential recognition of the registration. So these four processes, they are, let's say, different in the way they are structured, but they are really based on the same common understanding and follow really the same, let's say, also organization of the documentation. One thing that was said that the normally centralized this procedure lasts approximately 12 months, and with potentially the only exception is the mutual recognition procedure that is shorter, takes only a few months because the previous assessment has already been taken place in the originator country. But in order to, let's say, give a similar, let's say, ensure similar standard for safety, efficacy, quality, independently from the rule taken for the registration, the documents and the organization of the document and the structure of the registration file is always the same. So here you see a pyramid. The pyramid really is what describes the content of a common technical document, so that contains information on chemical, pharmaceutical, preclinical, and clinical aspect of the dossier. So essentially, this documentation, the technical dossier, is always made the same way. Either if you register on the European level or you register at the national level. You have to, has to contain, starting from the bottom, the individual studies that are being performed in support of the product, related to quality, so the production, non-clinical, and clinical. Then there are non-clinical summary of quality summaries, and a clinical overview of the content. All these documents are made always the same to facilitate review by the assessor. So it's something that eventually it can bring to the approval Italian level or European level, and also is the basis for the I say preparation, the summary or leaflet for the patient. And also activates the process for pharmacovigilance that is performed usually at country level and European country level. Now, going to the medical device in vitro diagnostic, again, the regulation that, let's say, applied in Italy really is in the respect of the European regulation, and essentially follows the same, let's say, law in guidelines that are defined at European level. So in Europe, the medical device are regulated by some documents that are called, let's say, essentially two major documents, a medical device regulation that the latest version is the 2017, and a second one that is in vitro directive that has been issued again in 2017. All the let's say this regulation applied at under the let's say the control of Italian Ministry of Health, and which again uses IFA and additional extra bodies like notifying bodies to support the implementation of the correct implementation of the of these European directives. Going to the process for medical device, also in vitro medical device in Italy, essentially everything starts from the identification of the class and assessment of the risk of the class. So this is based essentially on the destination of use of the medical device. This classification is key because it's the one that guides the organization, the performance, the building of the technical documentation that is in support of the marketing approval and by the authority. So technical documentation, it includes like a little bit of the pyramid, but in a different format, all the technical files, clinical data, risk analysis, and also the prior information, including the quality system and the data supports the whole, let's say, dossier. This documentation is submitted to the notifying bodies that are entities that are recognized by the Ministry of Health for the assessment of the whole file, and then after the assessment is made, there's a certification that is issued, and then all the dossier is brought to the attention of IFI, Ministry of Health, for potential for the granting of the CE marking, the registration that then becomes, let's say, applicable and for Italy, but also for the European continent. Of course, the fabricant is obliged to register the medical device into a registry and is responsible for the post-marketing, let's say, surveillance and the maintenance of the quality of the finished product has been approved. For looking a little bit more in detail, so to the medical devices in general, we see that in terms of classification, we have 4 different classes, going from the very low risk class, like a stethoscope or thermometer, which has a very limited impact on potential risk for safety. And then with class 2A that low to medium risk, class 2B medium to high, and then class 3, which is high. So this risk assessment also is linked to increasing requirements in terms of efficacy, with clinical studies that are required for at least for class B and class 2 and class 3 devices that are to demonstrate both efficacy and safety. So a few words about the in vitro medical devices. You can see, going to the classification aspect, the system is similar, but what has to be considered in addition to the intrinsic risk, let's say, linked to the destination of use, the impact of potential risk for the patient is also evaluated. So a device that technically would apply for a lower risk of class can be assigned to a higher class of risk, considering the potential impact on the patient life. For example, if you have a diagnostic agent, in vitro diagnostic device, if this device can, contribute to the diagnosis or define the status of a patient, malfunction or a non-correct performance of the device might profoundly affect the patient. Imagine somebody patient that uses a diagnostic device, and the diagnostic device gives a negative, negative results, which eventually shows to be a false negative with a major implication on the medical application and in terms of patient management. So this again, classes from the low risk to high risk, again, so they are linked to, let's say, higher requisite in terms of testing, which also required clinical studies that are approved and activated after, let's say, revision by IVO. So this is my last slide, just to say that as we see that the framework is essentially in an international framework, both for drugs and medical devices. We in Italy we apply European directives and stringent standards to ensure that whatever the product is put on the market responds to a medical need, is a true innovation, and does not create, let's say, any unacceptable risk for the population. So with this, I finished, and I'm free to take any question as you wish, and if you want to have more details.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Maurizio. We wait a little bit for questions. Otherwise, we move to the next. Please use the chat in case you would like to write down your question, and okay, we are on perfect timing, I should say, so we can move to Paola Cinquanta.
Okay. Well, can you see my screen? Trying to put it into presentation mode. Okay, thank you. First of all, please let me spend a couple of words to introduce myself. I'm Paola Cinquanta. I have 15 years of experience in supporting development, registration, and support entry into market of mainly of pharmaceutical technologies. I have a degree in pharmaceutical biotechnologies, but I have had the opportunity also to work with small molecules and technologies which are not qualified as biotechnologies. I'm really happy to be here with you today. I hope you will find my presentation interesting. I'm going to talk about the market entry strategies for life sciences, and I will start from the very beginning. I will talk about the starting point, the beginning of a very long process and the end. Indeed, a good entry into market must be planned from the very beginning, and what we decide, the decision we take at the very beginning, have a big impact on the final target, and so our main scope, which is supposed to be the entry into market and propose new options, new treatment or diagnostic options for patients and European citizens. So first of all, I will talk about the product profiling and the feasibility, which should be done at the very beginning. Indeed, the first question we should make ourselves is what's the shape, what's the aim of the product we want to develop. The target product profile encompasses several areas, actually. First of all, it should start identifying the target population. So my technology is supposed to improve the quality of life, improve the health of a specific target population. And it's really important that we immediately start identifying such population. You know, this could be a very complex question. We may have an oncological drug which can be tailored for first, second, third line therapies, for example, and these defines different populations and subpopulations. Then we have the big issue of developing drugs for adults, but also developing drugs for different pediatric population. You know, we are used to refer to children and adolescents as pediatrics, but at the end, pediatrics covers several different populations as far as the body and the body systems develop. We can really identify different physiologies and capabilities, for example, to metabolize drugs, which changes over the different pediatric groups. The target product profile also has to consider the mechanism of action of the technology and the expected efficacy and safety. Sometimes a technology can be proposed to really resolve a disease. Sometimes it's for diagnostic purpose. Sometimes a therapy for a disease cannot really resolve the disease, but maybe can, for example, reduce in case of chronic disease that are expected to worsen over time, stabilize the disease some way so that we can have an improvement from that ending point. Then we have to think about aspects related to dosing and administration. You know that there are several technologies that also improve the way we administer drugs. Some improvement may be also related to administration. If I have a therapy, I have to be dosed, for example, in a chronic setting, for example, once a month, and it is a therapy and the administration mode requires hospitalization. This is really huge, especially has a big impact on the compliance to therapy. If I can propose an alternative administration mode that patients can take the therapy in their house setting, this is again an improvement, because a good compliance to therapy in chronic disease can really change the final effectiveness of the therapy itself. Then we have to consider the biological activity, and with all these aspects taken together, we can define the critical quality attributes of our product, which are key pillars over the entire development. Obviously, at the very beginning, not all these bullets will be very clear, and we will develop and fine-tune each one of them during development, also basing on the results of the preclinical and clinical testing. Anyway, this is to say that it's really important that we immediately identify our target product profile, which is also a key milestone to properly shape the development plan. We are supposed to also negotiate our development plan and discuss, better to say, discuss our development plan with the competent authorities in Europe, with the EMA for biotechnological technologies. And as part of our target product profile, there's also the label product profile. Why is so important the target label? Because the target label is the end. We shape all the development with an idea in our mind, that is the target product profile, and what we want to obtain finally is a label that captures all the development and defines our target population as we intended it to be at the very beginning. This will have also a big impact on the pricing and reimbursement matters. We will see it later on. So basically part of the target label is part of the product target profile. We are not used to think about it at the very beginning because it's always some way associated to something that comes at the end of the regulatory registration process. But I think this is not the best approach. It's really important that we start identifying our label. It also helps us shaping the product vision, having a clear idea about our value proposition of our product, and this is something we can confirm after we obtain results of each clinical development step we perform during the long history of development of a complex and innovative technology. It also helps identifying all the data we need, and so also helps clarifying the type of analysis we have to perform. If I want to reach out a certain label, I know that I have to set precise clinical objectives. Otherwise, no competent authority will grant it to me, to my product. So the final goal is to negotiate a competitive labeling. So having a clear idea at the very beginning helps us build up and shape the development plan to be able to reach our goal. Moreover, the importance of the label strategy is also supported by the fact that the labeling profile, has several connections with other aspects. First of all, we have seen and discussed the target product profile. It helps shaping the clinical development, sending the right clinical endpoint to finally obtain our label profile. The clinical development plan that is strictly linked with the labeling profile provides the basis and the quality of evidence we will need to propose to the public payers, defending the fact that our plan and the population we enrolled in our clinical trial is really representative of the target population our product will have once launched on the market. And this quality of evidence supports the reimbursement process. Some technologies, especially the most innovative, are linked with high costs. So basically the reimbursement is a key point. If we do not obtain a reimbursement, it's highly improbable that patients will be able to pay for such expensive technologies. And then obviously the reimbursement is again a new evaluation process. It means that sometimes you obtain a target label, but the reimbursement process maybe grant you, you can have a public reimbursement only in a subset of the population defined in your label. So if all these links are properly set and preserved during the all development, at the end we will have a target market population that really matches with the reimbursement population and the target label. This is why I strongly suggest to think about it at the very beginning. Another key point is develop a tailored strategic regulatory registration plan. Why is it so important? First of all, I thank my colleague, Mr. Mariani, for the introducing some key concepts about the potential registration path we have in Europe. Basically, it's important to have a clear idea of the strategy we want to put in place, because the exercise is huge and long. So it's extremely important that we keep our investments under control. We have a research phase, we have a product development phase, and then we start the clinical trials. And once we have the medicine approved, we will we should end with a good negotiation of pricing and reimbursement and let patient access our innovative therapy, the one we developed. These also should be done in a timely manner, considering also the patent protections and the exclusivity and protections that especially the pharmaceutical law assures to the stakeholder developing innovative therapies. The first starting point of a proper strategy is to classify the product. We have several product categories. The life science industry covers a wide area of products. All these products are subjected to different legal framework, different standards. So the first point when analyzing our target product profile is that to classify the product according to the legal classification we have. Is it a human medicine, a veterinary medicine, a medical device or in vitro diagnostic? Is it a special food, for example, or a food supplement, a cosmetic, or what else? Anyway, this is the key starting point. Classifying the product, we can identify the law that applies to it, and so have a clear idea about the regulatory requirement the product is expected to comply with. Starting from these two key points, we can perform the project plan, the development project plan, defining objectives, milestones, and also responsibilities. And we will establish for sure policies and procedures that applies. It's really important that we do so because here I propose a slide that is mainly related to the pharmaceutical market, but there are similar requirements, for example, for medical device manufacturers. Basically, the company that puts on the market an health technology has several legal responsibilities, and basically is always responsible for quality, efficacy, and safety of the product throughout the entire life cycle of the product, not limited to development up to launch on the market, even after in the post-market, it's called the post-market phase, until the product is put on the market and launched and sold. The company remains legally responsible. So it's extremely important that also the company has the rights, policies, and procedures to ensure that all the different standards, quality standards that applies throughout the life cycle of the product from R&D up to distribution are respected and fully implemented. So we have the research, good practice, the good laboratory practice for safety relevant testing. We have the good clinical practice to be implemented when we perform clinical trials. Then we have the good manufacturing practice that starts with the first in human trial. The product must comply with good manufacturing practice also during clinical development, and then good distribution practice, and last but not least, the good pharmacovigilance practice. So basically the oversight on the safety profile of the product, which is expected to change and be enriched after the launch of the product on the market, gaining more information when we enlarge the population exiting the trial, the selected population of the trial, and starting administering the product to the wide, broader population in the commercial phase. The regulatory strategy is so important, also because we have to define the right legal basis to put our product on the market. Not all the products are marketed based on the same legal base, on one legal base. There are several. We have innovative products usually are registered through a full application. It means a complete dossier, a complete common technical document with quality data, all the non-clinical development and clinical development is provided to the competent authority for an assessment and to grant the authorization to market the product. Then we have the medicinal products that are products that basically claim the therapeutic equivalence to an innovative one. And so basically only the bioequivalence between the generic product and the reference product, the originator, the innovative product should be demonstrated based on a sufficiently similar exposure to the drug. Also the same efficacy and safety profile is expected. Then we have the hybrid medicinal product, which are generic medicinal product introducing some innovative aspects compared to an original and innovative drug, like a new strength, a new dosage, a new dosage form, a new pharmaceutical form. This could be all examples of hybrid medicinal products. Then we have the similar biologic product, the so-called biosimilars. You know that for large molecules it's not possible to claim they are therapeutically equivalent due to the complexity and high variability of large molecules. And so we can claim similarity, and a different development plan should be implemented in this case. Then we have applications that rely on literature, are literature based. These applications are limited to those drugs that are have a history of use, of clinical use in a certain therapeutic indication since more than 10 years in the European Economic Area. Let's imagine some drugs that are used, consistently used off label for a certain indication since several years, and usually healthcare practitioner then publish results of the use of the drug, and so they publish data, and all these data if coming from peer-reviewed journals, obviously, they can be retrieved and submitted to the competent authority to ask for a marketing authorization approval. Then we have the fixed dose combination. It's the case when we want to combine two different active ingredients, and the two ingredients are already on the market, but as a single ingredient, and we want to fix them, to combine them into a fixed dose combination for additive or synergistic effects between the two ingredients. In this case, obviously, we are not expected to demonstrate again the activity of the two ingredients as standalone, but we only have to provide data about the combination, the effect of the combination of the two ingredients in one drug. Then we have the informed consent. It's the case when a company allows another company to basically submit and have an authorization granted based on a copy of its own dossier. Its own common technical document. Why is the legal basis so important? Not only for administrative matters, but also because, as per our discussion here, you see that the legal base mirrors into the type of data you have to propose and submit to the competent authority to seek marketing authorization. So the legal basis should be clarified at the very beginning, because it has a direct impact on the regulatory strategy and also on the clinical and non-clinical strategy, defining which data we are expected to collect and submit to the competent authority. I don't want to spend too much on this slide. We have already seen with Ms. Mariani the different procedures as part of the regulatory strategy. We will also need to identify our target market, meaning that we can register our product in all the European Economic Area or only in some countries or in even one single country under a national procedure. What is important to say, if we are talking about biotechnological drugs, then they are all or biotechnological technologies, generally speaking, they are all under the mandatory scope of the European Medicine Agency. It means that we have no choice. We have to run a centralized procedure. This is also the case of drugs intended to treat cancer, and for the drugs intended to treat, diagnose the so-called rare disease, so the orphan drugs are all in under the mandatory scope of the centralized procedures. So, well, once we have a good target product profile, we have defined our regulatory strategy as part of the feasibility, it's really important that we also perform a market-specific analysis. The market analysis encompasses several areas and also specialties. I will focus on two main pillars. One is the pricing and the reimbursement, and the other one relates more with the potential exclusive market exclusivity we can have granted. This is also because a part of this analysis is an economical analysis, which is out of my personal technical experience. Anyway, let's see a little bit more. I have retrieved some data from the source, the official source Statista. This is the project Global Pharmaceutical Sales expected for the 2027 by region. And as you can see, the European Union is the second, expected to be the second market. So this is again an interesting, these are interesting data that make clear that invest in the European market it's extremely important, and Italy is for sure one of the biggest market in Europe, you know. We are far away from North America, where the United States plays a key role to reach the so high numbers in terms of billion US dollars. Then let's see the access, the two key points, the access to therapies. So how can we let patient access our therapy, and the market exclusivity we can have to protect our investments and be sure we will have some revenues to pay back the big investment we have done during development phases. First of all, a key point in the access to therapies, something you will have to familiarize with, is the health technology assessment. The health technology assessment is a process that evaluates the clinical effectiveness and the cost effectiveness, and evaluates how this can impact the healthcare. It's a process that was consistently in place for medicine, and is also now consistently in place also for medical devices. So generally speaking, for any health technology in a broader definition, the clinical effectiveness will mirror in the quality of the technology, quality of the clinical impact our technology can have on the life and quality of life of patients. The cost effectiveness comes from the economical analysis, so how the cost of my technology And the impact on the healthcare system is the effect on the system. Sometimes the economical analysis is not limited to the cost of the new technology. It also considers if the new technology is letting the healthcare system save money. For example, if I propose a new device or a new drug that can be a good alternative to surgery, which requires hospitalization and so has a big cost for the healthcare system. So I'm proposing for sure a new innovative technology with its own cost, but on the other side, I'm letting the healthcare system save more money than the amount that would be spent for my technology. Let's jump into the Italian situation. We have a pricing and reimbursement that is exercised by the Italian AIFA. Inside AIFA, we have the Italian Health Technology Assessment Body, and the key drivers of the Italian Health Technology Assessment Body now are basically if the target population has an unmet need. So if my technology is expected to provide a therapeutic option for a population that actually doesn't have a gold standard in therapy, doesn't have any other opportunity to improve its health, and the disease severity. The added therapeutic value of my technology, the quality of the evidence the company is able to provide, and the impact on budget on the budget of the healthcare system, and the cost effectiveness of the therapy. So basically, has a cost, but maybe can improve the health, and it means save money, and sometimes also, for example, a good recovery of the patient can make the patient be productive again, for example, in its own life, and also the cost on the healthcare providers, and so that the cost mirrored on the several aspects of the life of a patient and its family. The timing, we have different phases. The health technology assessment, evidence review, and the final decision runs in parallel with the dossier submission and evaluation. So the evaluation that relates to a final decision about granting or not granting a marketing authorization. Once the product is granted a marketing authorization, then a pricing and reimbursement phase starts. Basically, the company provides a price and reimbursement dossier to the Italian AIFA, and there's a negotiation about the price, because in Italy, we have a quite strong healthcare system that is supposed to pay for the vast majority of the therapies each Italian patient can take during its own life. Then Italy is divided in several regions. So once the AIFA has evaluated and negotiated the price with the company, defines the reimbursement rules. Please remember what I said at the very beginning. Sometimes the reimbursement rules can also define different we can have different reimbursement decision for different subset of the therapeutic indication we have been granted with the marketing authorization after the marketing authorization application. So once AIFA has defined clear rules, there's a regional implementation. It means that each region will define, because now the budget and the drug and the medical device expenditure are managed by at regional level. So there's also this third phase. But I would like to talk you about what is happening, what already happened and is going to happen in Europe, as it obviously will impact also the Italian market. In 2021, a new regulation for the health technology assessment has been approved and entered into force in Europe. This new regulation about health technology assessment introduces a new concept, the so-called joint clinical assessment. Basically, this joint clinical assessment provides a single evaluation of the clinical evidence the company submits to the competent authorities for the final reimbursement decision. The joint clinical assessment will be mandatory. And what does it mean, one single evaluation? It means that this negotiation won't be done again with each single member state, but we will have one shared process where all the member states can define, say which are the objectives they want to set to evaluate a new technology in light of potential final reimbursement. So the aim is, first of all, one of the key objectives of the European Commission to accelerate the patient access across member states. And I want to say not only accelerate, but also let all the patients in all member states have access to the same therapy at the same time. Now we have the situation in Europe is not so harmonized. Basically, we have some European countries where the patients can access a therapy, a reimbursed therapy, and in some others, a patient can access the same therapy. Maybe sometimes it also happens 2-3 years later. So if you think about severe disease, unmet medical need, this is not acceptable also from an ethical standing point. So this is something the European Commission is trying to solve, and this regulation introducing the joint clinical assessment, we all hope will improve this situation, letting all the European citizens have access to new therapies, innovative therapies, especially in case of severe disease and unmet medical need, almost at the same time. Then obviously harmonize the process and also the evidence requirement. A very huge work from the companies has been done over the different requirements. Each single member state has its own view, and also the healthcare system. We don't have an European one. We have several healthcare systems, each one for each member state. And so this really makes the regulatory burden very, very impressive and big. And also the evidence requirement is not, the approach to the evidence requirement is not the same. So the companies have to work a lot to always adapt the data they have to match with the evidence requirement of each single member state. And this at the end doesn't have only an impact on the company and on the business of the pharmaceutical or medical device sector. This also has a direct impact on the time to access to therapies for patients. And this joint clinical assessment has also the aim to focus on comparative effectiveness. So not only focus on the value of the single therapy, but compare the effectiveness of several therapies. This is expected to raise the level of the benchmark for all the therapies. Timing to implementation. The joint clinical assessment has already been implemented in January 2025 for oncology products and advanced therapy medicinal products, so basically gene and tissue therapies. For some selected high-risk medical devices, it will be implemented as of 2026. Rare disease from January 2028, and in January 2030, it will be mandatory for all the drugs registered through centralized procedures. So if you're dealing with innovative drugs, you have to familiarize with the joint clinical. We all have to familiarize with the joint clinical assessment. How will the process run? The joint clinical assessment will be here. You can see the roadmap. It will run in parallel with the EMA evaluation of the dossier. So you can see the key milestone on the bottom of the slide, the key milestone of the European Medicine Agency evaluation of the dossier in light of a final decision about granting or not granting a marketing authorization for the technology. And in parallel, there's the joint clinical assessment. The assessment will be done under key milestones. First of all, we all have to familiarize with the term PICO. What is PICO? Basically, at the very beginning, there will be a survey with all the member states, and each member state has to provide its own view about the PICOs, so the factors they will consider in light of to perform the technology assessment of the medicine or device we're going to register. PICO stands for population. So each single authority must define the population in scope they want to analyze. PICO stands for population intervention. So basically the medicine, or in case of high risk device, the device. The comparator, each member state will have to say which are the comparator technologies they want to consider. Sometimes a comparator is a medicine, sometimes can be a placebo, sometimes a comparator can be a different approach. It could be a psychological approach, a physical approach, it could be surgery, all the potential therapies or mix of therapies available for the specific disease. And really important, the outcome. Which are the outcome? And here we come back to the very beginning of my presentation. Which are the clinical endpoint we're going to compare? If I do not analyze from the very beginning of my project which is my target, and I cannot select the proper clinical endpoint. And when I come to the PICO survey, and I will have to submit then a PICO dossier, a joint clinical assessment dossier, providing data about each single PICO, I won't have data because I've not collected the right clinical endpoint and clinical outcome. The authority expects to receive, to compare my technology with other comparators on the market. So it's extremely, as I said at the very beginning, there are some points that should be done at the very beginning and that have a big impact at the end of a long process. So again, regulatory strategy and good planning are fundamentals in this exercise. So basically, there's a PICO survey between all the member states, and then there's a scope explanation of the PICOs. And once the scoping is complete, the company has to submit a dossier, which is evaluated in terms of clinical assessment for final reimbursement decision. This is the most big, I think, impact and new we have on the side of access to therapies. So therapies that we expect to be reimbursed by the health authority. So we expect a big exercise for the companies, especially let me also underline that the stakeholder involved in the health technology assessment are a lot. We have government and European agencies involved. We have the payers in each single member state that have to consider also the impact on the healthcare system budget. We have the patients and the group of patients associations that are more involved on this process, and sometimes they also can say a word about the outcome. Indeed, please remember that the technology at the end is for patients and to improve the life of patients. So sometimes even if we have a good outcome, on a clinical endpoint, it's also important that the patient at the end of this process says that he's really experiencing an improvement in the disease, which is these two aspects are not always, they are dependent, but we can improve a clinical endpoint by definition, but sometimes this does not have the same level of impact on the quality of life of the patient. And this is something that the regulators are paying more attention to. So at the end, are the patients really happy? They really feel an improvement in their life, and so the quality of life is a really key aspect. Then we have the healthcare practitioner that are asking for more solution to support their patients. We have the industry stakeholder and also the subject matter expert on the several therapeutic areas. What's also important to analyze, we have the health technology assessment and pricing and reimbursement. On the other side, if the company is expected to perform huge investments, we also have to consider the market protection we may have. So the potential return of investment and protection we can have on the return of investment, which can make the project feasible or unfeasible. So a key aspect is related to the market protection and the data exclusivity. These are two different aspects. The data exclusivity is the period of time in which no other company can apply for a marketing authorization for the same relying on the data we have submitted to have been granted a marketing authorization for our technology. This is the data exclusivity. So basically protects the data we submitted to the agencies. And then we have the market protection, which is the period of time no other company can place a product on the market based on the same technology we have been granted the marketing authorization. According to the European law, we have a 8-year period of data exclusivity and 2-year more and a 10-year period of market protection. So what does it mean? Basically, the generic application, so anyone who wants to register a drug that is a generic version of my technology can start applying after 8 years since the first data start marketing my innovative therapy or drug. And the 2 years basically are more or less the time the generic company has for the evaluation and discussion with the competent authorities to have to receive a marketing authorization license. So at the end, we have a 10 years of market protection. Then we have some cases in which there's an extra protection of 1 year. Please remember that in case of medicines for rare disease, there's an exclusivity also on the application. A 10 years exclusivity also on the application. So nobody else can start registering a drug for 10 years. So then please remember that once a company submits, we should expect at least a couple of years until they can go to market. So there's an extended protection, and this is one of the several incentives given to the technologies for rare disease, and this is to make more economically convenient for companies to develop drugs for population, so little population like the one of rare and ultra rare disease. Then, as I said, we can have some market protection extension. The extension in all the cases is of 1 year. And one key case is related to an additional therapeutic indication. If during the first 8 years, the company submits a variation application to authorize an additional therapeutic indication, then you can have granted a company can have granted an additional 1 year of market protection extension. So this is, from a strategic point of view, really, really important. What is important is that the new therapeutic indication and the therapy can really provide a significant clinical benefit in comparison with the existing therapies. So basically, the question you have to reply to understand if you can really run this path of an additional market protection here is to ask if it is a new indication, if it really qualifies, subpopulations of the indication I have already been granted are not considered a new indication. Then which are the existing therapies, and if my therapy in such a new indication really provides a significant clinical benefit. If the answer is yes to all these 3 questions, then I can have the 1 year market protection extension granted. Other cases here, I will leave you some slide about the definition of existing therapies, just to say that existing therapies doesn't mean in case of a medicine, all other medicine approved in the same indication. It can also be a non-pharmacological approach or any other therapeutic option as of the state of art in the treatment or diagnosis of the disease of the concerned disease. What is not considered existing therapies is any product that is for used off-label. And there are also some criteria to qualify the improvement, the significant clinical improvement, basically an improved efficacy, an improved safety, so same level of efficacy expected, same level of effectiveness expected, but an improved safety profile, or a major contribution to patient care, which means a new route of administration that maybe has a good impact on the compliance to therapy, just as a matter of example. And then there are 2 other, out of the new therapeutic indication, which is the first bullet point, we have 2 other situations. We have, for example, in case of well-established substances, a new indication when we provide new studies to support it, and the change of classification. If based on preclinical or clinical trial, we can ask for a switch to the OTC classification, then we can have a 1 year data exclusivity granted. Here just a couple of definitions. So I hope I am on time. Just to sum up the key concept, always start from with a clear idea, or shaping a clear idea of the value proposition of your innovative therapy, define the target product profile and the target label profile, set up a good regulatory strategy, once you have defined your market, your key market, perform a good market analysis, focusing on pricing and reimbursement rules, which will come at the end, but require data that you will be asked to collect from the very beginning of your development phase. Think about the health technology assessment rules, especially the new rules recently implemented in all the European economic area through the new regulation, and define the market protection and data exclusivity rules that may apply to your technology to protect your investment and have your revenues back to support maybe future development in new indication and extend it a little bit more. I thank you for your patience and attention, and with this ended.
Thank you, Paola. Thank
I
you,
hope I'm on
Paola.
time.
Thank you very much. We just take a very quick question, a couple of questions actually from Ruta. So the question is whether the joint assessment, the joint clinical assessment is applicable to medical devices as well.
Yes, it applies to medical devices, but what has been defined is that since January 2026, only considered high-risk medical devices will be selected by the European authorities for the joint clinical assessment. So not all the medical devices, but it applies as by rule, the regulation applies also to medical device and in vitro diagnostics as well.
Okay, and the other question is whether this negotiation can be done separately with the Italian's regional authorities, or is a centralized government? I mean, with central authorities.
The negotiation of the reimbursement rules is done at central level, and of the pricing rules is done at central level in Italy. And then there are the bids, the regional bids, especially for hospital products. There are regional bids for furnitures to the hospitals and the healthcare system. The pricing and the reimbursement rules in Europe are quite complex. We can stay probably 3 days just talking about the pricing rules in Italy. So I anticipate you it's quite complex. But yes, I think it's also good that we have one key point for a discussion with the Italian IFA, and then you come to regional level. This makes a little bit longer the process, and maybe it seems more complex, but I think that should we go to each single region for reimbursement process or pricing process, that would make the process even more complex than it is. And it's also a problem of access to medicine by all the Italian patients. Obviously the Italian government cannot accept differences in access to medicine.
You're right. So thank you very much, Paola.
You're welcome.
We'll keep on collecting questions even afterwards, and of course, Paola will be available to give you an answer. Okay, we are a little bit late, but I think it's but it's not your fault, Paola. In general, we started a little bit later and so on. But I think that all the information that we are giving are very important. So I hope that everybody can stay a few minutes more to get more information. Okay, so I leave the floor to Fabio Bianco.
Hello. Hi there. Thank you, Francesco. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for staying with us in this event. I would like to, first of all, thank myself, the embassy, the ambassador, and Lithuania Bio for creating this opportunity. And also, I would like to thank the previous speaker for giving such a thoughtful insight on all the regulatory aspect and how they pertain to the Italian ecosystem. Do you see my screen? Just a quick question. Okay, I just want to make sure about that. So first of all, let me present myself. My name is Fabio. I'm the Vice President of Scientific and Corporate Development at Bio4Dreams. I'm going to try to give you a more specific view on the Italian ecosystem, not in terms of numbers, as Francesco beautifully has done at the beginning, but really on the more collaborative and operative way we can structure potential collaborations. Before I do that, let me just spend a couple of words on presenting Bio4Dreams, which, as we call it, is a business nursery. What do we mean by that? We mean that we actually work transversal on 3 different areas, which typically are considered independent, but we try to connect them together, which is incubation, acceleration, and investments. So we are an incubator. We have 11 sites in Italy. We have a presence in Eastern European countries, for example, in Poland, in Hungary, and we're moving in other different countries. We'd love to interact also at the Lithuanian level. There are some discussion going on. We are an accelerator. We provide all sorts of strategic support to the company. We also invest into early stage startups, specifically in the life science area, which for us means therapeutics, diagnostic, medical devices. And as Francesco said at the beginning, there is also an AI-driven component and digital health, which is coming up and ramping up quite rapidly. I would like to start by sharing this picture, even though it's a little bit older, it still creates a clear understanding of how much Europe is really not united with respect to innovation. And I would like to, in particular, focus the attention of the yellow countries, which include Lithuania and Italy. And the reason I would like to do that is because these countries have very, very similar situation. I'm not presenting this in order to be pessimistic or to focus on the problem, but focus on the opportunities that these countries have. Moderate innovators means that those are countries where there is good research going on, great publications, there's a roughly good infrastructure supporting that. They are typically known as being countries with a hyper-fragmented ecosystem with a lot of regional boundaries and maybe also with a little bit of a lack of tech transfer capability and internationalization. From our standpoint, though, these are countries where there's another event happening. Startups are founded way too early with respect to the maturity stage of their asset. With respect to what happens, for example, in the green countries or in the US. What I mean by early stage, it means that the maturity stage of their asset, whether it's a diagnostic, a therapeutic, it's quite early. And there's many reasons for that. We don't want to enter into a lot of details. There is for sure a funding need and other topics related to that. But what I would like to focus on is the fact that if in this early stage project, we are using the same tools of interaction for their development that we would use in a more mature scenario in terms of incubation, in terms of investment, we are actually creating a mismatch of expectation between what the startup is looking for and what the environment provides. Classical example is an early stage startup pitching to a VC who wants to see a more mature stage project and a more clear industrial path. And typically what happens is that the investor considers the project too early and the startupper end up not investing or not having an investment, but really losing time. So we try to change this around. And what we're actually doing is we are providing an ecosystem where this early stage development can be brought forward. And this is only slide I'm going to use to annoy you with what Bio4Dreams is doing. We are supporting through lots of different expertise the early stage development of the idea. From the technical standpoint, we would go from technology readiness level 2 to technology readiness level 6. And that's where in the early to mid stage program, we partner the program with either investors or industries which are interested into bringing the project and the startup forward. During that path, we are supporting the team, we are engaging, taking executive management responsibility into the project, supporting the founding team, and also investing in this early stage development. The key aspect of what we are doing here is trying to avoid waste of time because all the competencies are available out there, but the worst thing that can happen to a startup is arrive at the desk of a regulatory agency with an old patent and an old device, because that's basically something that cannot be invested anymore. So we're trying to reduce and shorten the time frame in this early development stage. And just to give you some numbers, over the last 5 years, we have looked at over 1,800 or roughly 1,900 projects. We have right now, these are all numbers. We have 54, I believe, companies in our ecosystem. We have invested in 17 of them. And what you see on the right is an example of how we're trying to speed up the project. So the dots are invested startups. On the x-axis is the number of years they've been with us, and on the y-axis is the multiplier, the pre-money value with respect to the last cap increase with third parties. So it's an ecosystem that is developing. It's an ecosystem that is trying to avoid classical mistakes. For example, the fact that over, I believe 40% of life science startups are developing products or solutions which are not needed on the market. So we're trying to address this issue as early as possible by engaging with industry, discussing with industry what is really needed on the project, and creating some opportunities for proof of concept interactions. Yeah, I'll skip this. I just want to give you a couple of examples of companies that over the last few years have found in this Italian ecosystem their next steps of the pathway. Euleria is a telerehabilitation platform supporting rehabilitation at home. The company was founded in 2020. It went through a prototype validation and assessment. We invested along with other subjects into this company. And last year, the majority stakes of the company was taken by an industrial group in order to further develop the project and implement it onto the market and start market traction. ChemiCare is a small molecule, so a totally different topic. Only 3 years ago, sorry, this was a university spin-off with some license from a university and a few little in vitro data. Over 2 years in this ecosystem, the company has gone through pipeline reshaping and target redefinition. They have gone through preclinical assessment and activity. They've got 2 orphan drug designation from EMA, 1 orphan drug designation from FDA, and now they're fundraising 11 million because they're 1 year from IND, and they also have already discussed with EMA the sizing of their clinical studies. So this is an example of how we can rapidly scale up a therapeutical project. Last example I would like to give you on how we are supporting in this ecosystem the development of new ideas comes from BrainDetect. BrainDetect is a diagnostic platform running personalized medicine approaches with biomarker development from liquid biopsies. Again, a device being developed now fundraising, but also looking for strategic partners. We have identified 2 industries. One of them is an Italian producer of medical devices, which has a multi-billion revenue and can provide not only the technical support, but also the manufacturing capabilities and expansions for this type of projects. And the company has launched a joint venture in the United States last year with a venture partner in the States in order to implement a CLIA lab activity in the States and start market traction. What is happening here in Italy? Francesco already said a few words in the beginning about what is really happening in Italy in terms of the development. I'd like to just highlight a couple of elements here. The first one, of course, was already said. We're the biggest. Italy is the biggest producer of pharmaceutical products. There is a regional difference in Italy. We have some regions like the one Francesco mentioned before. There are some excellent centers for innovation in the life science. They are not all, as one would think about, they're not all in the northern region, but for sure there is a significant critical mass in the northern area of Italy that can support this. Although through EU funding, there are some regions in the southern part of Italy which are becoming or have become over time a center of excellence for specific aspects and specific activities. What's striking about what is happening over here is the incredible amount of healthcare centers. Not only facilities, but what we call IRCS, which is clinical research centers. Basically, they're hospitals which are engaging with significant research activity. And last year, Italy had a new regulatory framework that came out with respect to the implementation of tech transfer activities in this clinical center. This has led and is leading to a more significant focus of these clinical institutions in trying to connect with industrial stakeholders at different levels, both at the startup level, meaning that research center wants to engage in studies, wants to support the development of new opportunities, new products, but also with larger industrial player in order to implement those solutions after the clinical validation. So definitely this is a time where Italian clinical institutions are well receptive for innovative approaches to be implemented and wants to engage on technology transfer opportunities. And we are trying to support and connect this ecosystem as much as possible. And on the right side, you see how over time, Italy has become a hub not only for significant implementation of different research activities from large pharmaceutical companies or other life science players, but also in terms of a network of regulatory bodies and associative bodies which are supporting this type of initiative. I would like to spend a couple of words on an experiment which has been is currently being done here in Italy, which I think will be an example for different parts of the world, and for sure it is an important stakeholder in the European life science ecosystem, which is Milano Innovation District, so-called MIND. This is a public land area. It was the former area for the World Exposition Initiative in 2015. And through a combination of public and private subjects, it's becoming a leading hub for healthcare innovation in Europe. This is a 1 million square meter area that has been given out as a concession, a 99-year concession to a private player called Lendlease, which is a specialized Australian player dedicated to urban requalification. They have a 99-year concession, and the story they're creating around MIND is a hub of innovation for healthcare and smart cities. Now, what you see in this incredible place, and you're more than welcome to come and join and see what's happening, is that many elements which are characterizing the success of tech transfer operations are present. Here we have a hospital, which is one of those research clinical centers approved by the ministry. Here in white, there is a research center called the Human Technopolis, a governmentally funded research center dedicated to healthcare and personalized medicine. The purple building here are the scientific faculties of the University of Milan, which accounts for roughly 22,000 students coming in this area. And this area here in the center is the so-called village, is the industrial hub, where currently on top of our Biofordim's headquarters, there's the headquarters of AstraZeneca Italy, there is Illumina, Diagnostic Center, Bracco, and many other companies who are creating an ecosystem. So basically, in one place, we have research center, we have a clinical center, we have a university setting, we have industry, and all related facilities around it. And we expect to have a fully blown up MIND by 2030. The first school year will start in 2027. And the expectations are to have roughly 60,000 people working here daily, dedicated to life science and to smart cities of the future, and roughly 20,000 people living here at night. So basically, it's a city within a city dedicated to innovation. And we, as Bio4Dreams, are the landing spot for startups that want to engage into this ecosystem. And just to give you some examples, in our offices, we have an office from the Krakow cluster of life sciences, which is the association of Polish life science startups, in order for their startups to come over and engage here with the ecosystem. We're doing the same with offices of business development and innovation of different areas in Italy, and we certainly love to engage more with the Lithuanian ecosystem in order to support this type of initiative and favor the landing of a Lithuanian company in this well-established and fast-developing scenario. The other side of what is happening in this type of ecosystem, I'm using mine as an example, but similar initiatives are happening throughout Italy, although at a smaller scale, is that they're becoming a natural attractor of industrial subjects. And as we said at the beginning, we are strongly sensible to the theme of developing solutions that really embed nicely with the clinical and the market needs. Really what we are experiencing is that a lot of time we are seeing startups developing beautiful products which are going on wrong indications, for example, or on indications where there would be a me too with respect to the ongoing clinical development, while the same molecule in a different indication would become first in class. So we are trying to help and support that development process. These are the 4 thematic areas which are being developed here at Mind. You see they're quite broad in terms of thematic areas. Lots of startups can find their counterpart or area of pertinence. And at the same time, you see that there is a bunch of companies that are creating I think it's currently over 400 different industrials and institutional stakeholders, which are creating the so-called federated innovation here at Mind. It's a way to engage at different levels with the right stakeholders in order to either favor market entry or support the development of the projects. And as you can imagine, this ecosystem now has a sufficient critical mass to be attractive for different industrial stakeholders who wants to engage in this part of the world. Our job as Bio4Dream is to foster this initiative and to foster this type of collaborations. And we do that through different, we call them instruments. The shared lab is one of those instruments. It's scattered throughout Italy, either through direct laboratories or affiliated labs. It gives the startup the opportunity to have a very, very variable setting where they can access laboratories divided by functions. So there is no renting of a classical lab that you have to fill in, but you can actually use facilities where needed, and as well as expertise. Innovation Circle is a working roundtable which accounts for a group of executive partners that is currently expanding. These are industrial subjects who wants to look at innovation within this ecosystem, not really for investing. The companies are oftentimes too early, but we are seeing a lot of beautiful interaction downstream, the presentations. This is a table where projects are being presented, industry can raise their hand and have downstream discussions. Sometimes joint development agreements have started here. Sometimes collaborations or even more in-depth analysis have been carried out. And this is matched by a community of research partners. Research partners are universities or clinical centers, which can provide many times solutions for this problem. A hospital is not only or a university is not only a provider of new projects to be brought on the market, they also are providing solution and expertise that can help other projects come to the market. And we like to foster this type of collaboration, and we would love to have the Lithuanian ecosystem being part of this innovation circle. This will be a topic of discussion for further downstream synergies. BIP Factory stands for Bioengineering Enhanced Prototyping. This is a purely industrial setting that was created between Bio4Dreams and our next door neighbor, Roll. Roll is an industrial subject focused on Industry 4.0. the only Italian SMEs that was recognized as a leading industry by the World Economic Forum in Industry 4.0. And the goal of Bip Factory is to help startups that are developing some type of medical devices, scaffolds, or whatever other bioengineering devices that typically have a prototype with no idea on how to make it into a scalable and industrial setting to help that transition. So basically, it's a factory where many projects are re-engineered according to regulatory compliance, and they are validated, and first lots are being accelerated. And this is typically a tool that can help many projects to really move forward in their development phase. Escalate for startups, it's a similar program that was developed in synergy between Bio4Dreams and Dompé. Dompé is a pharmaceutical company that owns one of the most impressive virtual screening platform called Escalate. And again, the reason why this tool was created is because many companies have a nice biologically validated target, but no chemistry behind it. And so this is a way to support those companies in getting their own chemistry and their own molecules for the development. Again, these are just examples. Others are coming up, and the idea is just to give you a flavor of a community that's building up, developing tools to support the market entry and the fast development of programs, not only for the Italian companies, but for companies spanning into our complete region of activity, which is Southeast Europe. Last but not least, there is an important element of I would say positioning of Bio4Dreams in this ecosystem. Over the years, we have created strong ties with many different countries in the Eastern European ecosystem, which typically is an area that is difficult to enter for, at least it's seen as an area difficult to enter from industrial stakeholders. And so that gives us the opportunity of creating a pipeline of startups and SMEs at different level of developments within the topics of interest, which is, as we said, therapeutics, diagnostic, medical devices, ICT, and healthcare. Some of them are ready for the market and wants to expand. Some others are looking for partners. Some others are looking for development solutions. And that allowed Bio4Dreams to start engaging with different financial and industrial stakeholders throughout Europe to create this type of interactions. But on the other side, we started engaging with different stakeholders in the US, and now we are expanding also into the Gulf countries in order to create a gateway between this continent and give the right projects, meaning the projects that are at the right stage of maturity, the opportunity to engage on the other side of the ocean. One example of that is the Innovate program in San Francisco. We are supporting the Ministry of Foreign Affairs into creating a showcase for the most innovative startups from the Italian ecosystem to be presented to US investors and stakeholders within the Silicon Valley. The program is nicely run, and over the last year, out of 11 companies that were a part of this program, 2 of them were coming from our ecosystem. And according to a recent report by Milano Finanza, 3 out of the 8 most potentially successful startups were coming from Bio4Dreams ecosystem. We're doing the same in Canada. We're doing the same at the Research Triangle in North Carolina, where startups from this ecosystem can actually present to US investors, and some of them have already moved to the US and are now engaging in strategic partnerships. So what I would like to basically say, and I'll stop here and I'll leave you my email. I'm very happy to answer any question afterwards, is that Italy for a long time has been considered a country for where you go on vacations, good food and nice places to see. Honestly, what is happening over the last 15 years is a structural change of that. The research, which has always been of great quality, is now being really transferred onto the market. There is the presence of all the elements, all the ingredients needed for bringing project forward. On one side, funding is available. On the other side, strategic stakeholders that can help this change are available. And also the clinical partners, the regulatory partners, and all the different stakeholders needed to get the project onto the market or further down their development line have been networked together in a way that it's really being efficient to bring forward. So we really hope that this overview that we're giving today enables you to have a better picture of what is happening. Last but not least, in a couple of months' time, we're going to have Bio Europe Spring hosted here in Milan. That could be a great opportunity for some of you who wants to come and see with your own eyes how the ecosystem is being developed. Should that be the case, please make sure to let us know. We'll be very happy to host you here and show you practically what is happening and how we could find ways to synergize and work together. Thank you very much. I'll leave the floor to Francesco.
Okay, so thank you very much, Fabio, also for being in time. We should be able to finish anyway by 12 Italian time, which was the objective of the webinar. And so I leave the floor to Costanza, and so that we can wrap up at the end in time, as I said before. So please, Costanza, she will cover actually a very important part of the story, because it's the funding opportunities that you can find in Italy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Costanza Conti. I'm the head of the grant office of Bio for Dreams. So I will try to give you an overview of the funding and incentives opportunities in Italy for life science companies. So let's say that there are three main funding bodies that are national funding bodies, mainly the ministries that provide national grants. There are regional grants that are typically provided through regions, and there are grants or funding opportunities provided by foundation. Most of foundations are bank foundations, but there are also associations, as for example, CNICube, that is an association of incubators, or other types of association that may provide prizes. So these type of grants are typically quite focused, so I will not go through them too much in this presentation. I will focus more on other type of grants, but if you are interested, you can contact me directly, and we will see if your type of business matches with this type of funding opportunities. For what concerns national grants, there are some established programs with predefined deadlines, or some programs that are open throughout the year. In general, a limitation of the Italian grants, both for what concern national and regional ones, is that there is no long-term programming, and this is quite different, for example, from the European schemes that typically publish their work plans that last for 2-3 years. So we don't have, unfortunately, this scenario. We have quite short-term programming of the grants. So we know that a grant have been published, let's say, a few months before of the deadline, which means that there is a tight time frame for implementing the project plan. However, there are some interesting possibilities. Other opportunities are associated with the Italian Recovery and Resilience Plan. And the main funding bodies for enterprises, at least, are the Ministry for Enterprise and Made in Italy, the Ministry of Research and University, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs. A specific topic, a specific point for what concerns regional grant is that they typically fund something that is associated with the settlement of the company in that specific region. So it's a must to have or to set up an operational site in the region that is funding the grant if you want to obtain this type of opportunities. This is an overview of the main pillars of Italian competitiveness. As others already said, we have a quite important industrial base, particularly in the manufacturing sector. We have a significant talent pool. In particular, Fabio already mentioned the clinical expertise. We have very renowned clinical centers, but also we have quite significant base of engineers let's say all graduates in that disciplines. We have a good innovation ecosystem, so with some consolidated partnership between university and research centers. And we have some incentives and fiscal benefit, and definitely the commitment of the government that is trying to boost strategic national industries and to attract also foreign companies. In particular, the Ministry of Enterprise and Made in Italy, through its acting agency that is called Invitalia, is offering some opportunities for, let's say, companies that are willing to set up an Italian site to expand to Italy. For example, they can support in finding a location, the best location for according to the specific needs of the company, and they can provide incentives by scouting different solutions among the one that they offer. And in general, they can even provide some let's say, some advice on obtaining authorization and permits, some liaison office, some support with the recruitment agencies in case a foreign company wants to hire personnel in Italy. So these type of services were particularly designed really to provide, let's say, a general frame that can facilitate the creation of sites in Italy, operational sites in Italy. As Bio4Dream is a partner of the Invitalia startup ecosystem, we can provide further information on demand if you are interested on this topic. Really, the needs of the companies are very varied. So I think that if you have if you in general are interested in the settlement of a new site in Italy, it's better to have direct contacts. One of the most interesting programs in Italy offered by the Invitalia network is called the Smart and Start program, and it's meant for innovative startups. Is open all the times and can be directed either to legal or physical entities. And there is a must of having an operational site in Italy, but it's not mandatory to have it at the moment of the submission, but you can have the commitment to open the site. The aim of the program is to fund the company development plan with the budget between 100,000 euros and 1 million euros. And this total budget includes investment in equipment, personnel, subcontracting, really broad categories, broad cost categories. The program offers funding with 0% interest rate. So basically a loan with no interest rate that covers 80% of the expenses defined in the company development plan. And this percentage can increase to 90% in specific cases. In addition, if the startup is located in southern regions of Italy, you can have 70% of the loan and 30% of the budget as grant. So for the companies that are located in the southern region, this program is particularly interesting because as Francesco said before, there are several southern regions have still are still characterized by a less research-intensive environment, and the government is trying to, let's say, decrease the divide between the regions. The Italian Recovery and Resilience Plan is active, and all measures have to be implemented in a tight time frame and should be completed by August 2026. Unless there will be extensions. Italy is the country that's received the highest amount of funding from Europe, so we really received a lot of funds. The large majority of funds go to R&D centers, so university or teaching hospital in general, to public enterprises, to public entities, sorry. So the opportunities for enterprises are less, but there are. Currently, there are no open calls for companies in the health-specific sectors, but there are more opportunities in areas linked to, for example, energy, bio-based economy, and so on. So really, depending on the focus of your company, of your reality, there might be open calls. And in any case, there are several cascade tenders or cascade grants are called, which are grants or tenders that are published by the consortium that obtain the grant from the Recovery and Resilience Plan. So these type of grants are typically small. I mean, let's say 100, 200,000 euros, and are very have very narrow focus, so they typically ask for a solution that provides robot assistant with very well predefined predefined goals, because basically the whole structure is that this huge project that were funded by Recovery Resilience Plan need some products or some subcontracting that is granted through this type of schema. I'm attaching here link to the website of the Recovery and Resilience Plan, where you can browse the open opportunities. There might be an issue with language because some of these opportunities are published in Italian. But again, if you need any assistance, you can contact directly. And cascade grants are a very interesting opportunity for startup. If you find a grant with the requirements that match your product or services. So I strongly suggest you to monitor them. In addition, there are some government incentives, like for example, tax credits. We have tax credit for R&D activities, which needs to be duly documented, that across the years may vary between 5 and 15%. In our area is typically 10% in the last years. Then there are several opportunities for investment aimed at reducing energy consumption. So any structural investment is in this topic is eligible. And there are also interesting measures related to tax credit for investment in advanced technologies and software that improve the production process or decrease energy consumption in the production process. And let's say that for investment up to 2.5 million, this tax credit is around 35 to 40%. In addition, there is also a measure that is quite interesting that was, let's say, designed to foster the investment of companies and privates in innovative startups. So physical person and companies that invest in innovative startup obtain 30% of tax deduction on the investment. So this measure is basically should promote, let's say, the environment, the investment environment. Regional grants. So as I said, these are quite varied, and the programming is quite short term, but I'm giving you a couple of examples of two grants that offer that can be accessible for companies that are located abroad but are committed to open a new location in Italy. For example, the first example relates to an open grant that was published from a region that is called Friuli Venezia Giulia, that is on the eastern border of Italy. And this specific is a settlement support, so it fund 10 to 80% of the costs related to investment in personnel, new employees, or infrastructures, and the amount with an amount of investment foreseen, which is quite significant. So the amount of the funding varies in relation to the location of the investment, because there are some areas of the region that are considered to be less research intensive, in which the region wants to invest more. But also on how the company meets the priorities, the development priority of the region. So this can vary, of course, each case is different, so it needs to be analyzed. But as general principle, this is one of the typical grants that might be offered. Another type of opportunity is, for example, it was called Collabora and Innova. It was a grant that was published by Lombardy region, and that was a different type. It was like, let's say, a small research project, a research and innovation project similar to the EU, to the RAI published by Horizon Europe, which foresee a collaborative project with many partners, including companies, both SMEs and large company and research center. It covers costs linked to personal services, investment. Also for this type of grant, the number of items covered are very broad, and the funding was variable between 40 to 60%, depending on the company size and on whether the cost were for research or development activities. The total value of the project was between 3.5 to 7 million. So, if let's say a company has the possibility to find a good consortium with others Italian partners. It's quite interesting to apply for opportunities like this because gives you a good starting base to start activities in the countries. In the European space, as Fabio said before, Italy is considered a moderate innovator. However, we have been our performance goal have been increasing over the last years, and let's say that main strengths considered according to the European barometer, is research productivity. So the amount, which means the amount of GDP generated by unit of product created, the number of private-public co-publication. In general, Italians are good publicators, and also SMEs introducing product innovation. Weaknesses of the system are well known and are a low percentage of population with tertiary education, low percentages of foreign doctorates in Italy as student, and a low job-to-job mobility. These are, as I said, weaknesses that are well known and are across many sectors. The EU instruments in Italy, well, as I said, as you can see, RRF funds, grants, are basically the funds used for the resilience plan and are currently funding the project I presented above. Then there are many other types of incentives, but for Europe, for European research and development, we are mainly relying on Horizon Europe and LIFE, plus some European funds from strategic investment. The European opportunities probably are well known because are pretty much the same. So also in Italy, Horizon Europe with its pillar, it's the main instrument for that funds research and development, and really companies apply across all sectors. Plus, there are some interesting opportunity related to the Interreg funds because Italy has a lot of borders with different countries. So we have the possibility to apply to several, basically, Interreg. So in Interreg, as you may know, only the partners that are located in the specific region that is in contact with the foreign country has the possibility to apply. And there are quite interesting possibility for a partnership with the Croatian centers, Austrian center, Swiss centers, and centers located in France. In addition, there is an upcoming possibility that is about the Euro-Med program, that is a broad Interreg that is open through all regions that are located on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea. And in general, the Interreg project foster collaboration and innovative economy. In this specific declination of the program, the main areas are strengthening sustainable economy, protecting and restoring the natural heritage, promoting green areas, and enhancing sustainable tourism. And that's it from my side. I really thank you for your attention. And as I said before, when you look at a specific grant, the very important aspect is to find a tool that matches with your needs. So I think that it's very, very important to establish direct contact if you have question or if you are interested on some of these programs. So please contact me if you have any question.
Okay, thank you very much, Costanza. I think that is plenty of opportunities in Italy that it's very difficult to explain all of them in a very short time. Thank you all for the attention. I mean, it's been quite long, but I hope useful for you. We tried to give you the most possible, I mean, the most complete picture that we could during this webinar. So basically, let me wrap up. So what we try to do is to drive you through many aspects. I mean, many steps that you can take to enter the Italian market. From a regulatory point of view, first of all, thanks to Maurizio Mariani, we have seen how important it is to think to the proof of concept as a major de-risking step for any R&D project. We went through the various institutions in Italy that can grant authorization to the market in Italy. So IFI, EMA, and so on. We went through the rules of centralized procedure, mutual recognition for medical devices and IoT. Then thanks to Paola Cinquanta, we understood in a very deep way how to manage a target profile, and generally speaking, all the process, which is a very huge and long process, regulatory process that we have to follow, whatever you are trying to bring to the market in Italy, and most of these rules applies to all the European countries, but of course, Italy, and of course, Italy is part of them. We went through the pricing and reimbursement strategy and process that you can follow to negotiate then the reimbursement and pricing of your product in Italy. Then, thanks to Fabio Bianco, we had a much better idea on how to build an effective partnership in Italy. As Bio4Dreams, as you now know, we deal with early stage development, but generally speaking, we are also the subject that can put you in contact with the right person, the right distributor, the right channels to facilitate the entry in the Italian market. So we have seen how Milan area and mind this urban regeneration activity is bringing to a very important site to work in life science in Italy. And goes without saying that you can use our contact as Bio4Dreams or our facilities at Mind as a soft landing place to look even better to the Italian market first, and maybe expand your business in Europe as well, starting from this central point. And then we have seen with Costanza just now all the funding opportunities, tax credit, the international funding available, how we can take advantage of this recovery and resilience plan, and so hopefully we have been able to give you a pretty complete picture about this. Just to conclude, I would say that I think that all the issues, I mean, all the sessions that we have had this morning, I mean, it all has to do with, I think, with advanced planning. We have seen, I mean, this applies both to product development and market expansion. And of course, this advanced planning needs to be done with the help of the right partners. And on purpose, I don't use the word consultant, because I think that what you need to enter the telemarket is local partners. And as you have seen, you have plenty of them. And we are ready to, of course, put you in contact with the right people and the right contacts, and build a long-term partnership to do that. I think we can close with this in time. We were supposed to close at 12 o'clock Italian time, but of course we are ready now and afterwards for any questions. So please, I open the floor to everybody who wants to ask question now. Okay, so anyway, I don't want to repeat again that our emails and contacts are ready for you, and even in the next weeks, if any question comes up, we are ready to catch it up, as well as we are ready to have one-to-one meetings with some of the companies or the people that would like to have a deeper knowledge about the single topic. Okay. Okay. Okay, so thank you very much to everybody. Thanks to Lithuania Bio, thanks to the embassy, and I hope that this will be the first of a series of webinars like that, if you like, in the future. Okay, thank you to the speakers.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Francesco. Thank you, everybody.
And
Bye.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.